Honi is here. Honi
Hello.
and Sheila. Is Sheila here with you, your
There
partner in
she is.
crime? Or
Yep, I'm
Hi.
here.
okay. Well, they have a new course coming up tomorrow. You want to take 2 minutes and just chat about that with this group here?
Have at it, Sheila.
Sure.
She's looking at me.
No, we're yeah, we were just kind of practicing this morning. So on Thursday we're hosting a two-part live workshop. So it's two sessions at 2.5 hours, and we're going to take people through our we call it from Gab to Gorgeous. So it's our simple system that we use to bring Gab stories to life. So it's pairing photos with your stories and how to create a beautiful keepsake that you can share. Do it for yourself. So we're going to practice doing it for ourselves. And then we think it's something that you can share with students as a add-on offer or pair it with your workshop. So we're going to go through all of that, over the next 2 weeks. So, Honey, is there anything else you want
No,
to say about
no,
that?
I'm going to do this from now on. Put you on the spot.
I know you put me on the spot.
No, that's exactly it. Should be fun, you.
Well, I can attest to the fact that my husband has a birthday coming up, and he did guided autobiography. I forced him to do it well, I do know it was in 2012, so it's a long time ago. I took his stories that he wrote in Swedish. I translated them with Google Translate because getting him to do it was impossible. And I gave them to Honi and Sheila, and they have created a beautiful book for me. So he's going to have that for his birthday in Sweden this summer. He doesn't know
Nice.
about it, so hopefully he doesn't listen to this recording or nobody spills the beans. But it was a lot of fun, really it was, and it's going to be. And it's not a book. It's a magazine. Their
Mhm.
company is called Lifeazine. So it comes out, and all I had to do was give her the stories, double check the editing, give her the pictures where they should go, and it really it's a great thing. So you might
Awesome.
want to
Well,
check out
yeah,
their
no,
website.
thanks for that,
Yeah,
Carolyn. And I'm
put
glad
your
you
webs
mentioned.
yeah, put your website in there in the chat,
Okay,
Sheila.
sure.
But go
Yeah,
ahead. I
yeah.
don't
I'm
I
I'm
my
glad that you mentioned. We're known for our lifezines, our magazine style keepsake, and we do that because we want to be able to serve more people, and not everybody could afford like a hardcover book or a memoir type publication. So we're kind of middle of the road, and we just believe that everybody should be on the cover of a magazine. So that's our magazine style keepsakes. But yeah, you can check out our website, and we have all our samples on the website.
And you get the template so you can do your own, and then you can teach your own students. Give it to your students as an option. So I don't know what happened to Norman. I'm going to introduce you to our
Norman's
intrepid.
here.
Oh,
Norman's
he
here.
is. Thank
Yeah.
goodness.
And
Yeah,
so is
no.
Kyla. Here he
Hi,
is.
good morning, everybody. I was just sitting quietly listening. Sorry, I was here.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Can you put your video on, Norman, so we get a
Oh,
chance to
yeah.
see you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sorry. I didn't realize
Oh,
I had that up.
great. No, I was just going to introduce our virtual assistant, Michaela. Michaela, raise your hand. I was talking about you before you came in. We couldn't figure out how this was all being recorded, and nobody was here, and you weren't here. But the wonders of the internet and cyberspace these days, right? And AI. So Michaela's in Nebraska. Okay, Heather, I'm going to let you take it over, or you
Yeah,
want to introduce Norman, or how do you want to do this?
yeah,
Welcome, everybody.
yeah. Welcome. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I see a lot of new faces. My name's Heather Alicia Knox. I'm based in Mexico. I'm a GAB instructor with my husband, Greg, who's also on the call. You'll see him on the other pink wall over there, Greg Kim. And we reignited the GAB chats about a year ago, right, Cheryl?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so we do them the third Wednesday of every month, and we alternate between morning and evening so that people who live on in other parts of the world can also join us. So next month, our GAB chat will be on July 15th, and it'll be in the afternoon. So keep an eye out on your email newsletter. And today, we are grateful and fortunate to have a speaker here with us. This is Norman Lesperance. Hopefully, I said that right, Norman.
I like the flair you gave it to it.
Oh, okay.
Lesperance
Yeah.
is,
That's
but
correct.
I kind of now I might just go by the way you just said it.
Oh
So,
dear. I guess living in Mexico, speaking Spanish, I'm always trying to make sure I pronounce things correctly.
it
Um,
actually is a word that translates in Spanish and French. It means hope.
yeah,
Esperanza is the
exactly.
Spanish word. So yes, yeah.
I
Yeah,
like that.
I knew that.
Oh,
Um, so I'm going to let you take it from here. And then when Norman is finished, we will open up for Q&A if you're good with that. And then we'll have an opportunity to connect with each other. So we go for 90 minutes. So that'll take us to the half hour, 11, well, 10:30 for Pacific. We'll stay with that time. So I'm going to pass it on to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you guys for having me. Um, I apologize. I've been in the Midwest and traveling for the last week. So if I look a little tired or I'm a little slow, my apologies. So my name is Norman Lesperance. I am a writer, director in Hollywood, and I have been working here professionally for over the past 20 years. And uh, I was introduced to GAB actually through the New York Times. My wife read the article and thought it would be something that would really resonate with me, just given where I was in my career and kind of contemplating sort of an expansion or a pivot into other things as I got older. And so I read about it, I became fascinated with it, and I reached out to Cheryl and the whole GAB crew and came on and became certified last year. Around the same time, I was also studying hypnotherapy, which I've also been certified for and started my own practice. And uh, I started to realize a pattern. In the sense of like it's all storytelling, even though hypnotherapy is theoretically you're helping people, but it also is really at its core, it's about storytelling. It's the stories we tell ourselves in our subconscious minds, and through tools like guided imagery, we're able to help people in hypnotherapy kind of overcome habits, deal with things that they've dealt with in the past. Now, that is a separate category because now we're talking about treatment for people, therapeutic treatment for people, and that's not what this is. But from that, I pulled a technique because I found guided imagery. My wife has been a yogi, or she's a therapist, but she's been practicing yoga since she was in her early 20s.
mm.
And in leading retreats with her, I've watched her lead guided imagery retreats, so I'm very familiar with it and have been for some time. And then with hypnotherapy, I saw this dovetail happening with GAB, with the memoir writing, because I realized that really it's like we have the whole story of our lives laid out. And a lot of times, what I noticed in my hypnotherapy practice was that when people would go kind of into a relaxed state, they would remember things with much greater detail. And part of what gets you into that relaxed state isn't so much being hypnotized. It's just even if you're just sitting on the surface, just with guided imagery, it allows you to kind of sit with your thoughts in a different way, reflect on them in a more in a deeper way. I think about one woman in particular who I had as she was a friend. She was also a client, and when she went into with the use of guided imagery, the details that she remembered from her whole childhood and from episodes from it, she I remember her waking up saying, "I can smell the candle. Is the candle burn? Is there a vanilla candle burning in the
Oh,
room right now? I can smell it." And
oh,
the fact that it can draw you so close to such details, I just thought, wow, what an amazing tool when we work with guided autobiography. The template is there with your branching points and your reflections on or your point of view on money and on gender and on family, all these different things. And you by using guided imagery to explore each of those points, it's a really wonderful tool to deepen your writing and deepen your reflection. So I brought it to Cheryl and to Stephen and to the board, and they were really obviously this is the first time we'd be running this course. So I've laid out the coursework for it, but I actually feel like we're not doing this until the fall, but I feel like this is a real opportunity for anyone who is trying to expand their own autobiographical work, and kind of like any instructors who basically are also working on their own to expand their own memoir writing, deepen that experience. But also the beauty of all of this is really, it's like it creates such a safe environment, such a comfortable environment, that you're really able to, through active listening and reflective questioning, really able to go deeper and create that space within your community. And so if you can actually, as an instructor, pass this along and create that space utilizing this tool, you can help your students go further as well. And just like, well, you know what, if everyone is interested, and again, all of this sort of work is always on a voluntary thing. There is never any sort of uncomfortable space. It's always it's the what's emphasized. What I always emphasize more than anything, this is whatever we're doing. This is only within your comfort zone, and you don't do anything that you're not comfortable with. After I finish my little spiel here, we can talk about it. And if we want to later in this chat, uh, try to do, like, for instance, a 5 minute uh, guided imagery exercise, we can certainly do that. We don't have to do that, but that's just on the table if you're interested. At any rate, the coursework largely, the course is called Stories Beneath the Stories. And we're talking about doing it in October, every Tuesday in October. The date still to be determined, but maybe we would do it at noon Pacific time. Basically, it will be 6 Tuesdays, 2 hours each Tuesday. Um, and at this point, we're looking at a max of 12 students. If it goes beyond that, it would have to be a different course, because I want to make sure everyone has time to do this. But it also kind of requires a minimum of at least 8 participants to really, I think, make it effective, and make it all worthwhile, and make the connections work as well as they can. So anyway, Cheryl, am I missing anything? I think that's about it in terms of summary of what I'm talking about doing here
Yeah,
and
no,
what
no,
you did.
no. I think that's great. I just wanted to say one thing.
Yeah.
The Birren board put Norman through the ringer, because all of you know that we say GAB is therapeutic, but it's not therapy. And so this bordered right on that edge. We had him change wording. We had discussions with him about, where this was going, how important it was. How it was going to all work out. So really, he has gone through, done this, and I don't know, I'm assuming you've done it then with your own, have you taught guided autobiography then using this method with your own students so that
I
you
have
know,
not. I have not employed this method. Honestly, it came about the desire to do this and
yeah,
employ the two together. I had planned on doing something, but when Stephen reached out to me and said, "Hey, we have these,
courses. Yeah.
courses coming up. Do you have a suggestion?" And I proposed this. That's kind of where it really started to. I accelerated the process. Let's just say that. So now
Well,
we're
that's
here.
great. Then you're all going to be guinea pigs that sign up. Sometimes that's the best way to do it. It's just like, the Lifezine, doing the magazine myself. I mean, then I knew how to do it. I knew what it was all about. Anyway, so he is very thoughtful, very astute, as you can tell by listening to him now. He is a professional. I don't think anybody's going to fall off into what Dr. Birren used to call potholes, but if you did, I'm sure he has ways to work with you on things like that. So I don't know, Stephen. I mean, Norman, if you want to go ahead and do an exercise now, or if you want to open it up to questions first, it's
Let's
up
open
to
up
you.
to questions, and then
Okay?
if everyone's interested and on board, if there's enough interest there, we'll pause for a second and do one of these if you think that works for you.
Okay. Well, let's see. Emma has a question.
This is kind of a silly question, but
Ah,
does this work if you're trying to write fiction, or do they have to be your actual
hmm.
memories?
Uh, actually, it's interesting, because if I was to say hypnotherapy as a practice, as a therapeutic technique, then I would say not so much. But guided imagery itself, I actually think works to enhance both, either or both.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Because the thing about guided imagery is that it doesn't have to be, we can start with guided. guided imagery sort of works, and you'll see when we kind of do a little demo here, that guided imagery sort of works is like there are times where, let's just say, I'm leading you down the path, and there are times where you're leading me down the path. The participant is really kind of like, it's really open-ended at times, and other times it's like we'll do, for instance, a body scan in terms of where I'm describing parts of you're kind of going through your, I don't know how many of you have done a body scan, and we can do that as even as a demonstration to just sort of the relaxation techniques that kind of allow you to relax into your senses. And that would be the starting point to move forward into some of these. And the thing about what guy you asked about fiction, it's like you can start talking about, you can start taking yourself to imagined places or places that you're trying to picture. And in that relaxed state, it's almost like, as you're drifting off to sleep at night, you start to kind of go into this space. I mean, to be honest, sometimes guided imagery can be so comfortable that you might find yourself kind of nodding off, literally nodding off. I mean, that's why I'd like to, for the purposes of our class, keep the scripts a little bit shorter. Because if I do a full guided imagery script, uh, I mean, I might hear snoring on the other end because people are so relaxed.
It's nap time at the kindergarten. Well, thanks for answering that. I'm studying fiction right now in an MFA, and I'm really struggling to create worlds that are believable to readers. And so it's just I might just be a terrible writer, but it's a problem I'm trying to solve.
I do think that this technique could help. And actually, for that matter, I mean, uh, it's just as a profession, what I've spent my entire life doing is writing fiction. I've primarily in screenplays, but also also I've written two novels as well. But the bottom line is I understand storytelling. That is who I am. When people ask me who I am, it's like I'm a storyteller. It's in my DNA. It's at my core. It's what I've always done, whether I'm doing it through pictures, moving pictures, still pictures, or written words, or spoken language. I'm always telling stories, and it's generally fiction. So the bottom line is, I can also help you as a professional writer in terms of with your fiction work, and with anyone with their own aspirations of developing their own autobiographical work, memoir work, anything like that. I can give guidance around all those things. So I'd like to think that I offer another layer of assistance in that regard, another skill set that you can apply beyond just the guided imagery, but also writing techniques and things to help improve your own practice of writing and consistency with it. Oh, it got really quiet. What happened?
Other
Am I still-
questions? Anybody? Other questions? Raise your hand or unmute, whatever works for you.
I just shout out because it's hard going through this to see who has a question.
This is May.
Hi,
I
May.
do have a question. Every time I teach a course, I have at least two or three students who kind of relive a lot of their trauma, and it comes out in the course of the 6 weeks. And I would imagine that when you're doing hypnotherapy or guided imagery, that you will have students that kind of get quite emotionally raw or, kind of relive some trauma. And so can you share if, maybe a case, or how would you bring them back to a safe place? And then would you refer them to like mental health services, or how do you deal with that in your context?
Well, I think certainly as an ethically speaking, I mean, whether I'm in doing it as hypnotherapy or just as guided imagery, it's always um, ethically speaking, you should always, if something gets to that point, you should refer them to a mental health professional. I mean, I think that's important that there are guidelines in place, and part of this course will help you define those guidelines so you don't find yourself in a really awkward position. But you're, without a doubt, through guided imagery, through guided autobiography, you're going to encounter people, as you said, who get into a raw place, because what are we doing? Whether or not we're going as deep with guided imagery, or just even just in conversation, some of these things are very raw to people. And there are techniques that we use in hypnotherapy that I would say they're not even therapeutic techniques. They're just, honestly, I guess you could call them that, but you could also just call them, like you just said, safe space. It's like that is I resourcing. is what I would refer to them as. It's like you're creating resources for them to navigate such a situation safely. And if that is something that is problematic for them and is so raw, then you should advise them to seek that support, that help, professional help as soon as possible, because that's not ethically your responsibility. It would be irresponsible, in fact, to carry that too long on your own. But if you run into such a situation, if you find yourself in the room, so to speak, with someone who's in that, there are techniques that we use that I would advise, that I would teach in this course, and we can even talk about them. And you try to get them to, in resourcing, you try to define a safe person for them, a person who is a figure that they trust, that is wise, that is safe, and they can come to them on that journey. You can talk about that through that point of view. You can talk about the place in the world before you go too deep into any of this. I think it's really this resourcing, talking about, for instance, a place, and it could be anywhere, that they derive happiness, that they derive peace, that they derive safety. And then you help them find that space. It's because it's also about the details of that space, what they notice about that space, what comforted them. It's not just saying, oh, go to the farm where you grew up. It's more like talking about the details of, like, okay, let's just take a walk on the farm right now. What are you smelling? What do you smell? What do you notice? Who's on the farm? What does the weather look like? How does it feel on your skin to feel the dampness in the air? Whatever it is, these details will help them ground them into that experience, into that peaceful place, and take a
Mhm.
step back from this. Another technique that you can use is actually putting a screen between them, like they're in it. They feel themselves in the moment too close. And you ask them to try to take a step back and put a screen and just look at the situation from a distance. And I know that some of these things sound like, how can that work? But it really
Yeah.
does. It allows people to kind of distance themselves from that, get out of their head a little bit, so that they can act as an observer as opposed to a participant. So it's not so in the moment to them, but they can still gain detail and insight from it and perspective, and feel safe ultimately, which is the most important part, so that you can get them back into a safe conversation with you, and then advise them to go see a professional.
May, I just want to
Mhm.
ask a question.
Yeah.
Am I correct in remembering this? You're from USC, the gerontology department. Are you
Uh,
are you working with older adults? And then this is a question for both you and Norman. Is there a difference when doing some of these exercises with older, which is me and many people in my generation, than younger people?
I work for at USC at Verdugo Hills Hospital. We have a
Hmm.
program called Community Resource Center for Aging, and we primarily work with older adults and like a lot of family caregivers. I do the GAB one about
Yeah.
a couple of times a year, and then I do an ongoing monthly just for everybody that has gone through my class. Um, so
So
it's
you must have a, yeah.
primarily older, but I will have as young as maybe like I've had as young as like mid 40s,
Huh,
but
okay, but
probably to like 80s.
you must have a good resource then in your back pocket.
Yeah, we have like a mental health sheet, and
Yeah.
I'm a social worker, and I have I'm in supervision with my supervisor who is
Yeah.
licensed, so I do talk things over with her, but I've had more students. It feels like more students lately that have are kind of breaking down in class, or they've come back or emailed me and just, asking me for referrals and stuff. And I'm realizing that I maybe need to integrate into my course, like mental health resources, because I think
Yeah.
some of the questions are triggering. And, I think initially when people sign up for the class, they're thinking happy thoughts, oh, they want to, write their autobiography, but then all of a sudden they realize a lot of these questions are taking them back to,
All of a sudden we're losing your sound. Either
oh,
that or it's
sorry.
me.
No, no, that
Oh,
was happening to me too. I thought it
uh,
was me.
I
I don't
looked
know
at
what
you,
happened. I didn't
Norman.
change anything.
Oh,
But
You're better now, man.
yeah.
yeah, so I just realizing that I probably need to integrate a little bit of mental health wellness in my class, or at least the students will know that I'm a resource in terms of mental health referral if they need to go there.
Well, go back to the question I started with. Is it mainly much older adults that would have this than your 40 something ones? Is there?
Yes, my
And this,
target is
yeah,
older.
okay.
So a lot of my students are probably uh, in their 60s and 70s, and I have some that are early 80s.
Hmm. Okay. Norman, is there a difference with it used to be called you old if you were over 80. The old as opposed to younger midlife people when going through this because, GAB classes vary in age.
Hmm. I have
Yeah.
noted obviously
Yeah.
the age range is there, which is wonderful actually.
Yeah.
I love that there's such a
Yeah.
I think it's great for everybody to have that
Yeah,
varied
I do
age if
too.
you can get there. But
Yeah.
I personally, unless someone is experiencing some degree of cognitive decline,
Yeah.
or is in need of mental
Yeah.
some sort of medical help, I have not noticed
Okay.
I have not noticed a significant um, dip or in terms of or not dip, but aberration in terms of
Yeah.
the way um, that they behave with regard to the prompts or
Okay.
with regard to any of this. No.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a question?
Did you say
Just
how many, excuse me, how many weeks this course would be?
The 6 weeks is the current that is
Okay,
what we're planning on right now. Every Tuesday for 6 weeks.
thanks.
Hmm. Um, I actually have someone just asked a question on the feed for me. I am not to Chloe asked me a question. Are you familiar with Linda Berry's work? Um, Oh, that's really great. I have not. I'm not familiar with Linda Berry's work, but I'm actually gonna. She asked, "Are you familiar with Linda Berry's work?" I've been using a similar exercise of hers in my GAB classes, and my groups have been really resonating with it. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm not familiar with Linda Berry, but I will actually write her down and look her up right now.
Chloe, you might tell us about the exercise because I thought Linda Berry was a cartoonist.
Yeah, yeah, she sure is.
Well, that's what I thought.
She is, but that's kind of the sort of the power of her work, I think, is she's a comics artist and a
Yeah.
writer. And she, when she's teaching her classes, she very much relies on kind of doing almost like guided meditation. And
Hmm.
then exactly that, very much like putting yourself in a scene. So, like
Mhm.
getting everybody into a state where they're just kind of like drawing a spiral and getting out of their head. And she takes them through a meditation in their body. And then, yeah, it's very much like, where are you? What time of day it is? What's around you? What's above you? What does it smell
Hmm.
like? What year is it? What month is it? Where is the light coming from? And yeah, probably Norman. I mean, it sounds very much like in the spirit of the kind of work you're doing, but
Hmm.
I've been surprised that every time I've led people in my classes through it, they are kind of stunned by like what that feels like to put themselves in a scene versus just being in their head and describing something. And so I don't know. Yeah, I'm all about this, Norman. Yeah, I'm already the little taste I've had so far of it. I've been seeing the power of it, and I definitely think kind of the just leaning into images and how images can kind of get you to a place sometimes that writing and being in your head can't. That's definitely something I've experienced as well. So
No, that's fantastic. I love that. I love that you're having so much
Hmm.
success with that. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, maybe you want to run us through an exercise or a
Yeah, yeah.
mini
Let's
That
do
would
something.
that.
be great. No,
Yeah. Um, well, if you all feel comfortable right now to do
Well,
so, uh, you may or may not want to close your eyes. That is up to you. Um, but we're going to start with I'd like you to just take a deep breath in, sit back in your chair, just let your shoulders just relax a little, kind of, and then I'd like you to just sort of center yourself in that. Notice the sounds in the room around you. Maybe the sounds through the window, maybe there's distant traffic outside, maybe you hear voices outside. you'll hear the sound of my voice. Maybe you'll hear me making noises on my end, rustling papers or anything like that. But these sounds aren't going to distract, they're not going to distract you right now, but rather they're going to take you deeper into just a relaxed state that you are allowing yourself today. And as you do this, just let your body relax into the chair behind you, drawing your attention to the left side, and slowly moving your attention to the right, then drawing it back into your core, that can be your belly, that can be your chest, just feeling a comfort in your own body. And as you feel that comfort, you might feel it as a warmth, you might feel it as a calm, but I want you to let that sensation get bigger and bigger, stronger and stronger, and begin to just radiate out a nice light energy, radiating it out into your arms, into your fingertips, down your legs, into your toes, up your back to the crown of your head. And as you feel that energy lighten you, feel your brow relax, feel your neck relax, feel your shoulders loosen as you take a deep breath in. And as you let it out, your whole body sinks into that chair. And in this space where you are right now, just enjoy it for a second. Just enjoy this calm moment. And in a moment, we're going to go to a place that you haven't been in a while, but you find incredibly comfortable, incredibly peaceful. When you open your eyes and look around you, I want you to imagine that you are in the place where you find the most peace, the safest, the most comfort that you can think of in this moment. And as you look around in that space, I want you to just notice what you notice. How does the ground feel under your feet? What smells are in the air? What's the temperature like? And how does it feel on your skin? Find a nice place to sit down and just take this place in. And where you feel the space in your body, where you feel the comfort in your body. Is it in your chest, in your hands, in your head? Just sit with that and enjoy this space. Taking a deep breath in, and as you let it out, you're going to open your eyes and sit back in the room with us. And then you can take a pen and a pencil or a keyboard and start writing about that experience. All right, so that's a small sampling of what it would be, but that is essentially the idea of what would be the starting point in every class. Any questions or comments?
How long do you typically write for after an exercise like that?
Given that we have a 2 hour class and we're going to be talking and doing other things through it, it would be probably a brief exercise that you would build upon later. But I am a big believer in when you've got something really in your head, when you go through an exercise, let's say like we go through a 10-minute exercise, might really stir some things. And I personally, in my own writing experience, know that if I don't write things down right away, I oftentimes can't find them later. Sometimes I do, but I wouldn't want you to miss that. I wouldn't want you to lose that. With that charge, I would want you to put it down for, say, 10, 15 minutes, get as much just stream of consciousness, put it out, and you can refine it later. But it'll give you a nice starting point for when you go back to it to do your work for the week.
Cool.
In your experience, Norman, you believe that it could be linked with one of the GAB themes, family, branching points, whatever, that you could actually kind of merge what you just did in the exercise there and somehow tailor it or customize it to actually use the themes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Each one would be specifically, each script, every prompt that we do, I would be going through prompts with you and providing you those prompts to teach your own students. But you would also, in the process, draft your own, write your own prompts that you might feel are more your language or more your, I want them to feel as natural to you as possible. In the process of what I've learned with everything else, it's like people have taught me certain things and then I've made them my own. So you might use the scripts that I give you, for instance, these short scripts, or you might go, you know what, that's a great taking off point. I'm going to draft it my way in my language. That's going to really speak to my community that I'm working with. But ultimately, they will be centered on each of the pillars of each GAB theme will be centered around that. Because what we just did was like a very brief kind of resourcing exercise, speaking to a place where you feel safe. That is always something that you want to have in your back pocket. I believe it was May who said this earlier, that she has clients who get raw and feel, unsafe. And the idea is to bring them to this place and that they always have this place, whatever that place may be for them. So you have that, but in each course we would specify, like in terms of the family, for instance, when we do the script for the family, it would be more like putting yourself in the house. You would be, you'd be kind of relaxing into a state and then imagining yourself in the house, maybe at a branching point, a specific branching point in your life, and imagining who was there in that moment with you, what was there in that moment, what else was happening in that moment, what was going through your mind in that moment. So every one of them is like financial. It's your view on money. It's like you're going back to a moment that really helped to shape that view, a moment or a person that really helped shape that view about money. So each of these scripts is going to be tailored to that point to help you get that jumping off point for yourself to go deeper into the reflection about why you ended up thinking this way, or how that point of view began to be really shaped and defined and crystallized in a lot of ways.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. Can I speak now?
Oh, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. If what you're writing, for example, in the branch, if that branch was a traumatic experience for you, especially for me at age 13, would this relaxation and would that work when you're trying to describe that trauma?
If you are in fact trying to describe that trauma and I think it's really important one thing that's really a particularly important thing about doing something with trauma work is I do think trauma work is a delicate situation, and I would actually hope and ask that if you are doing trauma work, that you are also seeing getting therapeutic help simultaneously, so that this isn't just we're not just working at the deep end of the pool without a lifeguard. I feel
That's
like
not what I
whatever.
meant I'm sorry. That's not what I meant by trauma. What I
Oh,
meant
okay.
was it was a branch that was very important to me, and I was
Yeah.
very disturbed at the time, but it's
Yeah.
not traumatic to me. But
Okay.
I want to write about the disturbance in my life, why that was a branch that
Yes.
was so important in my life. So I guess I'm trying to think, if I'm so relaxed, how can I grab that tension?
Well, actually, that is the really amazing thing about this. Yes, you are. So we don't. If I was to go into a full hypnotherapy open the full toolkit and unravel everything. You might go to a place where you might not remember when you come out, but you might feel it. But we don't want to go that deep. So we're going to keep it more on the surface. And so, yes, it can really help you because, again, I'm sorry if I'm forgetting, someone else said in this class earlier that they had actually been doing this. It's the imagery. It's the imagery of those tech. When you kind of close your eyes and relax into a state, you get out of your head a little bit and you can travel, so to speak, to a different place and a different time more easily and imagine details. In that space, find yourself more present in that space than you would just talking about it or thinking about it. I think the relaxation allows you to deepen that reflection. So I personally, in my own experience, in people I've worked with, and would agree with this, that when you go here, and I would say this from my own experience, in that I was surprised at the things that I remembered that I completely forgotten. And when you go into doing this sort of technique, um, it is really sort of amazing because it's almost like you walk into a place that is in a sort of a dark corner of your mind. It's there, you know about it, you remember it, but you're not living it in the same way. It's in the background. But when you walk back into the room with a lantern in your arm, in your hand, and you start shining it around, you start to see details that you didn't see before. For instance, I was working with someone who was actually trying to remember at a moment that shaped her acting career. It actually took her legs out from under her. She really lost her confidence in this moment to act because she had frozen on stage. And she felt ill prepared unless she felt incredibly prepared. And so if you gave her something spontaneous, she wouldn't do it. She would be too afraid to do it. And what she told me in talking about the experience with her as we were going through it, because it wasn't very deep, it was really kind of what we're doing right here, a guided imagery kind of practice. And as we went down this road, she started to remember details of it, and all of a sudden she remembered that the director had actually given her changed the script on her in the last second. And it wasn't actually her at all who had forgotten her lines, but rather she had been sort of like at the last second, a switcheroo had been pulled, and she missed her lines and froze on stage because she didn't know those lines because someone else had given them to her. And even though she knew this moment, she thought, as well as she did, she remembered details from that moment that redefined the entire experience for her and helped her like gain a whole different perspective on it. So I do believe that this sort of technique, this sort of work would be beneficial. Now, look, every modality that you practice, everything is going to work differently for everybody. A big part of this work is like, if it's something you really want to explore, if you have the focus, if you have the trust in the person who you're working with, oftentimes these practices can be very successful. But, every modality that you work with for writing, for everything else everyone's a little different. So I can't guarantee these things, but I do believe that you will find some success with this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. Do you have any experience or do you know of any studies in doing this kind of guided imagery with individuals in early stages of dementia?
Um, I don't. Actually, I would be, it's a very interesting area and one that I would be worried to do that again without the proper therapeutic assistance. Like in this case, I would say this would be an adjunctive technique that you would apply if they've got some sort of guardrails in place. Otherwise, this could be an additional thing so I would say I would be, I would have to look and research those studies to see if they are, in fact, I feel like surely someone is doing that or must have done that. I haven't seen it personally, but I feel confident that it's out there. But if it is out there, and if there is proof that I would still suggest if you were doing this and doing this with the community, that you would find to make sure that they have that support in place to make sure that I don't know, shielded by medical professionals in the event that it takes them into, I don't know, some sort of uh, causes some sort of, I don't know, negative side effect, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
But
welcome.
Grace, let me ask you, because you've been working with this population, how do you think it would work? I mean, you've done research and worked.
I
So,
don't have enough experience. I will say I'm getting ready next month to teach another class
yeah,
with individuals living with dementia, early
yeah,
stage, and their care partners.
yeah,
So I just don't have enough information, but I think looking up and see if there are studies being done would definitely be worth my time
yeah,
and yeah, or anyone else interested in this. Yeah, I think there could be a positive, but I also agree with
right.
what Norman said about having definitely guardrails in place and
Yeah.
professionals available. Yeah.
So in the class that you did do, did you have any that, fell into the PTSD category, or was there any
No, but I had a
match?
very small group. Like I said, I don't have enough. Don't have
Okay.
enough
All
experience.
right.
Yeah, no, but
Well,
I didn't have anyone recalling memories. At least, it seemed very positive. The students I did have. Yeah.
then we look forward to you coming back to us after you do this a few more times and telling us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, this is Jane. Can you
Jane,
hear
we hear
me?
you. Yep.
So I'd like to go back to the person before the question about if you're in a relaxed state,
Mhm.
can you still access disturbing material if you choose to? So I'm trained in working with trauma from Peter Levine's work, Somatic Experiencing, and resourcing is pretty much the most basic uh, thing we learn right away. I would say from that lens that somebody being resourced actually increases usually their capacity to look at difficult material.
Mm.
Um, because it's like you're bringing into a relaxed field, so you're not just totally identified with the difficult experience. It's really the same thing that you said, Norman, just coming from a slightly different lens.
Yeah, no, it's great.
I just wanted to add that.
I love that you're adding that, and thank you for saying so. I also I to just go. I would say to use a bit of imagery to go with that. I think it's almost like you're in a swimming pool, and you know that there's a deep end, and you can swim out to the deep end because you're a strong swimmer, and you know that you can swim there and kind of explore that. But when you have resourcing in place, it's almost like you've got that lifeguard. It's almost like you've got a rope to hold on to that when you go out there, if you get in trouble, you know that you can come out of it.
Yeah.
Right. An image that's used a lot in somatic experiencing is you're teaching clients how to put on the brake in case
Yes.
to, like when you learn to drive a car, the first thing you need to know is how to put on the brake and
Hmm.
start going faster than you can manage.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you always
I
have the brake pedal there when it's needed. Come
oh,
back
I
to.
like that. I like that a lot. I hadn't heard that, but I like that a lot. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Hey, hey, Jane, who did you say that you were trained in? You said Peter, somebody?
Levine.
Levine developed a body of work called somatic experiencing.
Great. Thank you.
I hope he gets the Nobel Prize someday because he really broke ground in trauma therapy.
Well, Heather, we want to look at our timing here.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have a last question for Norman?
No
Okay, thank
more.
you, Norman.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank you
much,
so much.
Norman.
Really appreciate it. Really
Oh,
gave us a great look into other ways of using techniques to get to those memories.
oh, you're
Yeah.
welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you for allowing me the stage to do it. Thank you.
Fantastic.
So, last session, we started to do breakout rooms and did a little bit of networking, and we were all left wanting more because it was very quick. And it's what this is about. It's about us getting to know each other and being able to tap into this community, which is so rich with such a wealth of backgrounds. So, Makayla and I, have arranged it to break into a number of groups with about 5 or 6 people. And I'm going to let you as GAP instructors or storytellers, facilitate your own conversations, make sure everyone gets to talk. We're going to break for about 15 minutes. Hopefully that's enough. If it isn't, we'll extend it and then come back and we'll have time to switch it up one more time as well. So, Michaela, do you want to take it from here?
Yep. Have fun in your breakout rooms, everybody.